Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment when the fog clears, and even the most resistant among us must face reality. It's over. This is no longer the time for wishful thinking or desperate clinging to what was. It's the time when truth becomes unavoidable, and you feel its weight pressing down on your chest. It's both terrifying and liberating. Terrifying because you're forced to reckon with the pieces of a shattered past. Liberating because finally you can set them down. Why do people resist this moment? Because endings hurt. The mind clings to the familiar, even if that familiarity brings suffering. We're creatures of habit, and change unsettles us. But there's a deeper reason. It's the fear of stepping into the unknown, of releasing the hand of the past without yet having the future to grasp. But the truth is, this is where real strength is forged. In these moments of finality, you're stripped bare, and in that nakedness, you discover who you really are. When you accept that it's over, you begin to see life differently. You realize that endings are not punishments, they are transitions. They're life's way of pushing you out of the nest so you can learn to fly. And yes, that first flight may feel like a fall. But it's only by falling that you discover the wings you didn't know you had. This is your opportunity to rebuild, to take stock of what remains after the storm and use it to craft something better. Maybe you've lost a relationship, a job, a dream, or even a version of yourself you once loved. But what if I told you that this loss is not the end of your story? What if it's the prologue to a story that's yet to be written? There's beauty in starting over, because starting over means you're still here, still breathing, still capable of creating something extraordinary. The pain you feel now can be your greatest teacher if you let it. It's not here to destroy you, it's here to shape you, to show you the strength that lies dormant within, waiting for the chance to emerge. So let them realize it's over. Let them see that the chapter is closed and that you've turned the page, not out of bitterness or resentment, but because you've chosen life, you've chosen growth, you've chosen to become something greater than the sum of your endings. And one day you'll look back and see this as the moment everything began. The moment you stopped being afraid of the end and started embracing the beginning. And when that day comes, you'll realize that it wasn't just over, it was the start of something far better than you ever imagined. Acknowledging the end is one of the most challenging yet vital steps in any journey. It requires a deep honesty with oneself, an unflinching willingness to see things as they truly are, not as you wish them to be. This isn't easy. Humans are naturally resistant to change, especially when it means letting go of something familiar or meaningful. The end of a relationship, a career, a long-held belief, or a dream can feel like a personal failure, like you're losing a part of yourself. But acknowledging that something has reached its conclusion isn't a sign of weakness, it's an act of courage. It's a moment when you confront the truth, even if that truth is painful. It's the recognition that no matter how much effort, time, or love you've poured into something, it has run its course. Denying this only prolongs the suffering, trapping you in a cycle of false hope and unmet expectations. The longer you resist, the more you cling to something that no longer serves you, the more you delay your own growth and healing. When you acknowledge the end, you allow yourself to grieve, to feel the loss fully. Grief is not something to avoid, it's something to experience. It's the process through which you release what's no longer yours and make space for something new. Acknowledging the end doesn't mean you erase the memories or the significance of what was. It means you honor it for what it taught you and accept that its role in your life is complete. It's a pivotal step because it shifts your focus from the past to the present. It's the moment when you stop asking, why did this happen, and start asking, what's next? And in that shift, there's freedom. Freedom to let go of the weight you've been carrying. Freedom to see the opportunities that lie ahead. Freedom to step into a new chapter with clarity and purpose. Acknowledging the end is not about giving up, it's about moving forward. It's about recognizing that every ending carries within it the seed of a new beginning. It's a profound act of self-respect, a way of telling yourself that you deserve to live fully, not bound by the chains of what once was. In acknowledging the end, you reclaim your power to shape what comes next. Acceptance is a transformative force, though often misunderstood. It's not about giving in or settling for less. It's about recognizing reality for what it is, without distortion or denial. There is immense power in being able to say, this is the truth of my situation, and I choose to face it. It takes strength to look at life honestly, to confront the pain, the disappointment, or the unexpected turns and decide not to fight against it, but to embrace it. Resistance to reality creates suffering. When we refuse to accept what is, we create a battle within ourselves, a war between how things are and how we wish they were. That conflict drains our energy, leaving us stuck in frustration and despair. Acceptance, on the other hand, is not a sign of surrender, it's a pathway to peace. It's the act of freeing yourself from the need to control what's beyond your power and focusing instead on what you can do with the hand you've been dealt. There's a profound clarity that comes with acceptance. When you stop resisting, you begin to see things as they truly are. The fog of denial lifts, and you can start to make decisions grounded in reality rather than illusion. You realize that acceptance is not about liking or approving of what's happened. It's about acknowledging it so you can move forward. It's about understanding that life doesn't always go as planned, but that doesn't mean you can't find meaning and purpose in the midst of it all. With acceptance comes a shift in perspective. What once felt like an insurmountable obstacle becomes an opportunity to learn, to grow, to adapt. You start to see that every experience, no matter how painful, has something to teach you. Acceptance allows you to transform pain into wisdom, failure into resilience, and loss into a stepping stone for what's to come. This doesn't mean the process is easy. Accepting something difficult takes time and effort. It may involve tears, frustration, and even moments of anger. But through it all, you begin to build a strength that is unshakable, a strength rooted not in resistance, but in understanding. You discover that the power of acceptance lies in its ability to release you from the grip of what was and open your eyes to the possibilities of what could be. In accepting reality, you reclaim your power. You're no longer a victim of circumstance, but an active participant in your own life. You may not have chosen what happened, but you can choose how you respond. And in that choice, you find the freedom to heal, to grow, and to create a future that reflects the person you're becoming. Acceptance is not the end of the story, it's the beginning of a new chapter, one written with courage, clarity, and hope. Rebuilding after an ending is a process that demands both patience and determination. It's not just about piecing things back together, it's about creating something new, something stronger, something that reflects the lessons you've learned and the person you're becoming. Moving forward begins with a decision to stop looking backward, to stop clinging to what was, and to focus instead on the possibilities that lie ahead. The process of rebuilding often starts with reflection. You take stock of where you are, what remains, and what no longer serves you. This is not always easy, as it requires facing the raw truth of your situation. But it's in this truth that you find the foundation for growth. What's left after the storm is not weakness or failure, it's the core of who you are, resilient, capable, and ready to rise again. Rebuilding means letting go of the need for everything to be the way it was. It's an opportunity to redefine your goals, your values, and your vision for the future. The beauty of starting over is that you're not bound by the past. You're free to build a life that aligns with the person you've become rather than the person you used to be. This freedom can feel daunting, but it's also incredibly empowering. Moving forward requires action, even when it feels difficult. The smallest steps, a new routine, reaching out for support, or setting a single goal can ignite momentum. It's not about achieving everything at once, it's about taking consistent steps toward the life you want to create. Each small victory reinforces your ability to adapt, to grow, and to overcome. Rebuilding also calls for grace and compassion, especially toward yourself. You may stumble, you may feel uncertain, and there may be days when progress feels invisible. But every effort, no matter how small, contributes to your growth. Healing and rebuilding are not linear processes, and it's important to honor the journey rather than rush the outcome. As you move forward, you'll begin to see how the challenges you faced have shaped you. The strength you've gained, the wisdom you've acquired, and the perspective you've developed become the tools you carry into your next chapter. Rebuilding is not about erasing the past, it's about integrating its lessons into a new beginning. In time, you'll look back and realize that the person you've become through the process of rebuilding is stronger, wiser, and more authentic than ever before. You'll see that moving forward wasn't just about overcoming, it was about transforming. It was about stepping into a future that reflects your resilience and your capacity to create something meaningful, even from the hardest of endings. In the end, life is not defined by what ends, but by how you rise after it. You are not the sum of your losses or failures. You are the strength that emerges from rebuilding, the courage that comes from moving forward, and the wisdom that grows from embracing change. Let this moment be a turning point, not an anchor. The end of one chapter is the beginning of another, and you hold the pen. Write a story that speaks of resilience, hope, and the unshakable truth that you are capable of creating a life that's even greater than what you've left behind. Move forward boldly, because your best days are still ahead.